What the mainstream media was afraid to tell you about the news this week. This week, while the mainstream media was fawning over Joe Biden wearing a face mask while he was by himself, here are the things that happened that really matter. Stanford's Dr. Scott Atlas says the government-mandated lockdowns will cost Americans more years of life lost than the virus itself. In an article for The Hill, Atlas and his colleagues write, and I quote, "We calculate that these policies, the lockdown policies, will cause devastating non-economic consequences that will total millions of accumulated years of life lost in the United States, far beyond what the virus itself has caused." Statistically, they say every $10 million to $24 million lost in U.S. incomes results in one additional death. Lives are also lost due to delayed or foregone health care imposed by the shutdown and the fear it creates among patients. The disease, COVID-19, has been responsible for 800,000 lost years of life so far, they write. Considering only the losses of life from missed health care and unemployment due solely to the lockdown policy, we conservatively estimate that the national lockdown is responsible for at least 700,000 lost years of life every month, or about 1.5 million so far, already far surpassing the COVID-19 total. But did the mainstream media report this to you? No, they did not. The Norwegian health chief, Camille Stoltenberg, says Norway could have controlled the COVID-19 virus without the lockdowns. This is what she said, and I quote, "Our assessment now is that we could possibly have achieved the same effects and avoided some of the unfortunate impacts by not locking down, but by instead keeping open but with infection control measures," end quote. Their assessment was based on the fact that the reproduction rate of the COVID-19 virus had already fallen to 1.1 even before the lockdown was mandated on March 12th. But did the mainstream media report this data-driven evidence that lockdowns don't work? Nope, the mainstream media was silent. A new study from the Spanish Ministry of Health shows that essential workers in Spain became infected with COVID-19 at a lower percentage than non-essential workers who stayed home. Spain performed a massive randomized antibody testing campaign on 60,000 people. They found a 5% prevalence of COVID-19 antibodies across the nation, higher in big cities, averaging 6.5%, and even higher, 10% in Madrid. But here's the kicker. The data shows that essential workers, people who kept going to work, were less infected than non-essential workers who stayed home. The non-essential workers who stayed home showed a 6.3% rate of antibodies. The essential workers showed a 5.3% rate of antibodies. But did the mainstream media report this? Nope. David DeLeiden and the Center for Medical Progress released new videotaped testimony of Planned Parenthood employees admitting under oath to trafficking in aborted baby body parts. Remember, Planned Parenthood has insisted for years that they did not sell aborted baby body parts for profit. But when facing the penalty of perjury, their story changed. Video shows Planned Parenthood lied to Congress when they said Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast had rebuffed a proposal to sell fetal livers for $750 apiece. Under oath in court, they essentially admitted to it. Planned Parenthood also publicly claimed that they only collected reimbursements on baby body parts for employee time and costs. But on tape, they admitted they only received money if they provided STEM Express with usable body parts, which clearly falls outside of the law of just reimbursing costs and under the definition of profit. But did the mainstream media report on this? No, of course not. A Maryland county bans the Eucharist at Catholic Mass under the COVID-19 lockdown. Please tell me how you can possibly justify this when it's the central part of the sacrifice of the Mass for Catholics. If you ever had any doubt that states and local governments are targeting churches and houses of worship because they are churches, this is your proof. You can go to a restaurant. You can do curbside pickup. You can even dine in at certain restaurants across the country. You definitely can go to Walmart or Target or Costco or any big box store with little to no restriction. But go to church and want to receive the body of Christ, the Eucharist? The tyrannical government officials ban that. But did the mainstream media report on this? No, the mainstream media didn't say a word. The mainstream media doesn't care to report any of that to you, so we will.